Hi guys, it's Melissa from Nature's Garden. Today we're going to make a hot fudge brownie candle. Let's whip it up! Today we're going to be making this hot fudge brownie candle, and we're going to use a couple of different waxes for this. We have our Joy Wax as well as our Pillar of Bliss. We'll make a candle with a brown base, and then we're going to add a scoop of ice cream and a cherry on top with a chocolate drizzle. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is prep our jar, which I've already done. You're going to add a CD wick to your jar. We are using a 16-ounce Apothecary Jar and a CD14 wick. This wick size will depend on the diameter of your jar. So you want to measure the diameter of your jar, then check the description of the CD wicks and we'll give you recommendations on wick size there. So once you have your jar prepped, we'll go ahead and weigh out 12 ounces of the Joy Wax, which I have already done. We're going to be melting the Joy Wax in a double boiler to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we'll drop the temperature to about 170, 175. Add our fragrance oil, get that mixed in. And then we're going to pour at 160 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so in addition to the Joy Wax, we have to add our color. We're going to be using a dark brown color block, and we're going to use about 5 grams of the color block. So we're going to go ahead and add that in. And now we're just going to put it in our double boiler and let it melt. Okay, so once your wax is melted, you want to really stir to make sure that your color block is fully incorporated into the wax. And then we're going to remove it from the double boiler. And we're going to add our fragrance oil around 170 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit. And we are adding, we're going to go the full 10%. You really only need about an ounce per pound. The wax itself will hold up to 10%. This is a common question that we get. So we're going to go ahead and add the full 10%. And once again, we're going to stir. We are going to let the temperature of the wax drop to 160, 165, and then we'll pour into our jar. And now we'll just center our wick and we're going to let this set up. And while we're waiting, we'll prepare our cherry embed. And so for our cherry embed, we are simply using the Pillar of Bliss wax. We're using about 1/4 of an ounce. And we're just going to pour it right into our pouring pot. This time we're going to use the red color block. We're just doing a few shreds of it because it's such a small amount. It's less than 1 gram. So you really don't need that much of the colorant. And we'll go ahead and put this on our double boiler and let that melt. We're going to melt it to 195 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so since this is such a small amount of wax, you are going to have to move fairly quickly when you take it off of your double boiler. You want to melt the wax to about 195 degrees Fahrenheit. Normally with the Pillar of Bliss, if you're adding fragrance oil, you want to add the fragrance oil around 180 and pour around 175. However, since we are pouring into a plastic mold, you really want it to be a lower temperature. You don't want to pour in those molds above 145 degrees Fahrenheit just because it can melt the mold. But since we are working with such a small amount, it is going to cool really quickly. So in this case, you'll have to move a little bit faster. We left this unscented, so just because it's such a small piece. So. Okay, so now that our candle has set up, we're going to go ahead and prepare our ice cream scoop. We are going to use about 2 ounces of Joy Wax, and we're using an ice cream scooper, so the amount that you'll need will really depend on the size of your scoop itself. And all we're going to do is, we're leaving it unscented. All we're going to do is pack this into our scoop. And you want to make sure it's nice and tight in there, and it since Joy Wax is really soft, it's really easy to get it packed in there. All right. And then all we're going to do is put the Joy Wax, let me move this out of the way. We're going to put the Joy Wax right on our mat here. Now that we have our scoop prepared, we're going to place this on top of our candle. So what we need to do is put a hole through the center so that we can thread it through the wick. So we'll just pick this up, and we're going to go right through the center with our Votive wick pin. And we'll bring back our candle here. And simply put the wick right through that hole that we created. And drop it into our candle. All right, and now we're just going to make some hot fudge drizzle. So to do that, we need about 1 ounce of the Joy Wax. And once again, we're going to melt in our double boiler. And we're going to use about 1 gram of the dark brown color block. And now we're just going to let it melt. Okay, so we have melted our wax, and now we're going to add the fragrance oil. We're using 1 ounce of wax, so we're going to use 0.1 ounces of the Hot Fudge Brownies fragrance oil. And then we'll let this cool just a little bit, and then we'll drizzle it right over top of our ice cream scoop. Now we're just going to drizzle it right over top of our ice cream just like we would hot fudge. And of course, what is a hot fudge sundae without the cherry on top? So we've let our cherry set up. Now we're just going to remove it from the mold. And this mold is our cherry on top cupcake cherry on top, mold market mold. And it has a little embed for cherries. So we went ahead and used that mold. Okay, so we have our cherry, but it doesn't have a hole in the center. So we're going to use a toothpick to put a hole right through the center of the cherry. Okay, now we're just going to put our cherry on top, so we'll thread that right through the wick. All right, and there you have it. There is our hot fudge brownie candle. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out our website at www.naturesgardencandles.com. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye, guys.